Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jory Antema. My Carnegie persona is the refined and discerning trailblazer, which equates to dominant archetypes of green, blue, pink. I'm on the operations team here at Carnegie, and I'm honored to host this main stage session. Part of my role includes helping to plan the Carnegie conference we host each year in January. And Ross Simmons was a speaker not only this past year, but also in 2020. In its 12-year run, we've only invited a speaker to come back to the conference stage 3 times, so you know he's a good one. Ross is the founder and CEO of Foundation, which is a global marketing agency that collaborates with some of the fastest growing startups to global software as a service brands. Ross was named one of Atlantic Canada's top 50 CEOs and one of the top marketers in the world by BuzzSumo and SEMrush. Please join me in welcoming Ross to our Carnegie Inside Out main stage. Over to you, Ross.
Thank you. Super excited to be here. Hello, folks. I like it, Nick. I'm with you. Let's snap our fingers. Super excited to be here, folks. It's a pleasure and honor, and I'm thrilled. I'm a big chat guy, so I'm going to be looking forward to seeing the chat light up a little bit. But this is a yes or no question, so it's pretty cut and dry. But on a day-to-day basis, do you use Chat GPT? Like, yes or no? Do you use Chat GPT? Yes, no. It's a wide mix. Okay. Another pop quiz question. How many of you believe that certain things that you do will be replaced by AI? Yes or no again? Seeing some yeses. Oh, somebody said no. Who's that very important person that said no? Carolyn, she's important. Okay. Morgan, cool. All right. Well, my goal today is to turn those no's into yeses and make you all freak out a whole bunch about AI. We're going to have some fun. How many of you think that AI could do everything that you do? That's another question. And I don't want yeses or nos on this one because I'm getting tired of the yeses and nos. So let's go with how soon. Give me a timeline on when you think AI could do everything that you do in your lifetime, not in your lifetime, next week, next month, next year, 2 years, 1 to 2 years, 2050. I like the accuracy. Cool. All right, let's go. We're going to have some fun. I am a geek, and getting the chance to talk about AI allows all of my geekiness to come out. So I am super excited to be here. You are going to hear me dive into some of the experiments that I've run. I'm going to dive into some of the strategies that we've run at Foundation, some of the techniques that we've used, all of that good stuff. It's all going to be in here. And if at any point in time you have any questions, by all means, in the Q&A section, and we will dive into it. So I'm going to use that old Zoomer proverb. Can you see my screen? Yes, no, cool. All right, I see heads nodding, so that means we are good to go. Since the beginning of time, humans, all of us, we have been influenced by content. Whether we go back to hieroglyphics, we talk about ancient texts, we talk about books, we talk about blog posts, radio, TV. Content has fundamentally changed the way that we operate as humans. And every single day we are influenced by stories and messages and ideas that make up our worldview on the world around us. And unfortunately for all of us, some of the stories that we've been told are flat out lies. We've been lied about, we've been lied to, we've been all told lies. Some people that we love have lied to us. For me personally, it's deeply rooted in the fact that for a long time in my life, I thought that if you swallowed bubble gum, it would stay in your stomach for the rest of your life. And you couldn't do it. I can remember having gum and chewing it. And if it got close to my throat, I would just like cough it up because I thought truly that if you swallow bubble gum, it would stay in your stomach forever. That's fake news. It doesn't actually happen. Another lie that I bought into was this idea that if you drove your car and you had the dome light on, you could get arrested and put in jail. Not true. You can actually drive around with your dome light on and it's not an illegal activity. Might be in some states. I don't know for sure, but pretty sure you're not going to get a ticket. You're not going to get in trouble. And this is bad because it's still like a little bit toxically stuck in my brain because when I'm driving around in my minivan with my kids and they have that light on, I'm like, kids, turn that off. Shut it off. What are you doing? But then I realized that was just a lie. But there's a lot of them, right? And there's a lot of lies that we've been told. And one of them is that AI content can't be used to drive results. And some of you might be SEOs and you're thinking, haha, did you see what Google did with that March update? Ross, you're going down the path of talking about AI created content. Google just started to de-index a bunch of websites. AI doesn't work. AI doesn't work. Hear me out. In this presentation, I'm going to share with you why, with confidence, AI generated / assisted content can drive ridiculous returns for businesses. And I'm going to share with you some techniques and strategies to prove it, but I'm also going to share with you case studies that demonstrate how it can be done with excellence. That is my goal. So here's my only request. Some of you said AI won't take your job. Some of you said that AI can't do anything that you do because you're that good. Cool. I want you to be okay with this simple concept of challenging your beliefs today and embracing experimentation. I have zero issues with anyone deciding that they're going to open up a new tab in a new browser and start geeking out about some of the tools that we share today. No problems with it. I want you to embrace experimentation and challenge any misconception you might have around AI, its role in your work, and how you should show up with this technology. Let's jump into it. There's a company called CNET. You might be familiar with them, but this is one of the best content examples that I believe exists today on why AI-generated content can work ridiculously well. If you're not familiar with CNET, they publish a lot of content on a very sensitive topic, money. If you're familiar with SEO and organic search, et cetera, you might know that Google doesn't like people just writing about money. And if you get it wrong, you're probably going to get sent down to the basement, right? But CNET covers this content all the time. They write about things like compound interest. Should you treat a credit card like a debit card? They talk about interest rates. They talk about all of the money stuff, important topics. And back in 2023, CNET engaged with an AI company to essentially create hundreds of articles. So they spent a bunch of money to get AI generated articles at scale, created, no freelancers, no writers to create it. And they built these pieces. Those pieces had some issues. They had issues and they had to actually go through a lot of them and update all of the inaccuracies that they had. The internet went wild. They were publishing pieces about how the robots, they tried to hire robots and the humans are still needed. CNET, you're garbage, you're trash. What were you thinking? CNET actually said that they were going to pause the AI generated activities because they made this mistake. Everybody was applauding. Yay, humans, we won. We are going to forever be required because of this. But then this little guy named me, Sherlock Homeboy, decided that I was going to investigate because I don't buy into the idea that, okay, you should just trust whatever you're told. Let's figure this out. Let's see what the actual impact was from them using AI to create this content. So Sherlock Homeboy, me, decided that I was going to reverse engineer and study their traffic. I was going to take their website and I was going to look at the pieces of content that they published that had the disclaimer that it was written with AI, and I was going to see what the traffic was that they had generated. And it turned out that those pieces of content, even though the internet thought, hey, we won, were generating for CNET more than 5.1 million annual visits. Don't get me wrong. It's very possible. I haven't checked yet today. Since the March update, it took a little bit of a dip, but it's probably not. But those AI-assisted pieces of content have generated over 2,400 backlinks. They generated 5.1 million annual visits. And that total amount of traffic is what you would have to spend $1.3 million worth of PPC budget to actually capture on a regular basis, right? They did this with AI-generated content. This is wild because, yes, that was a year ago, but we are still in the early days of this technology, right? I seen this piece from Bloomberg where they said that artificial intelligence is doing to white collar jobs what robotics has long done to blue collar jobs. And I couldn't agree more. We are going through some chaotic times. And in these chaotic times, we have to recognize that there's chaos all around us. When you go on Twitter, now X, algorithms are changing. You go on LinkedIn, you hear people saying that carousels are no longer a thing. They're actually just called documents. You see that Reddit is shutting down entire subreddits and communities. You're on LinkedIn and your reach is now throttled. You're not reaching as many people as you used to. You used to get 1,000 likes, now you get 10, right? All of this is happening and it's constantly feeling like chaos for so many of us, so many marketers. Right? You look at Google and it's becoming a destination. Not only do you have feature snippets and people also ask, you also have the the whole idea of SGE, and now there being people using that to kind of guide their thinking, where they're asking questions. You see the new search engines like Perplexity, all of this stuff, right? You see teams being replaced by ChatGPT. You see roles being replaced by AI. You see case studies from companies like Clara where they're replacing an entire customer service team with an AI bot, right? Budgets, though, in marketing constantly getting cut, where it's like, you don't have budget to do this anymore. It's constant, but we still have the same goals, right? This is constantly the chaos that we are met with, right? We have these ideals on where we want to go, but we have these realities that are completely chaotic and messy, right? This is the world we live in. We have job descriptions that want people who are experts in PPC, SEO, email marketing, branding, Jasper, community management, PR, design, 6 years experience, and make 40K, right? Like this, the market is absolute chaos, right? We have clients who have Barbie aspirations with Ken budgets. It's complete chaos out there, right? Like what do you do amongst all of this? We recently did a study and we asked over 500 marketers, what jobs do you think are most at risk due to AI? The number one role was content writers, followed by email marketers, followed by graphic designers, right? Curious, like in the chat, do you agree, disagree? I'd be very curious to know what the sentiment is. Do you think that this is right? Do you think this is fiction? This is true? What's your gut instinct? Because what we're going through is without question one of the most transformational times in our industry. And it's important that we keep in mind that yes, there are going to be some significant shifts that happen in the way that we work on a day-to-day basis. The industry is in complete turmoil, right? It's absolute chaos. Everywhere you look, there's no question that it is chaos. But we used to have it good. Anybody remember 2019? 2019 was great. 2018 was great. 2020, yeah, things got crazy. And then the crazy continued to 2023 when it all blew up. And now we're all stuck thinking, okay, 2024, here we go, let's go, right? I feel like we have the energy back, but we're still bruised. And my hope today is to give you the insights and ideas on how you can overcome the chaos and win for your clients, for yourself, for your brands, for your own career, to be honest, in the future. So how do you do it? It starts with this. I promise that if you commit for me that you are going to be willing to literally embrace experimentation, that you will get hundreds of hours back every single month if you embrace AI. That is one thing that I promise you that will happen. Whether you are a content marketer, SEO, graphic designer, campaign management, influencer marketing, analyst, project manager, I don't care what role you are, I don't care what background you have, this will work for you. I know this because I've seen it drive millions of impressions on X. I've seen AI drive blog posts that lead to six-figure deals. I've seen social media assets be created that reach thousands. I've helped marketers train to be able to create 10x more than they have in the past. And it's fundamentally changed the way that I work. But it all starts with some fundamentals and some basics. And this is important because I don't want you to think, okay, here's another guru telling us that we should embrace AI, blah, 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 blah. That's not what I want. What I want to first start off with is a fundamental realization that the marketing part of content marketing, the fundamentals are still ridiculously important. Understanding what I call the content growth framework, when you're thinking about this from a content lens, is super key. But it's not just on content. This can apply to anything. You have to start with research. You have to embrace creation. You have to embrace distribution, and you have to embrace optimization. These are table stakes. This is what you need to do. You need to embrace the idea of researching your customer, understanding their problems, talking to your customers, studying about the problems that they have, having dialogue, diving into the communities in which they're operating, they're spending time, the things that they're sharing on social. You want to immerse yourself in that. And then you want to create things based off of that research that they want. That's it. And then that's where a lot of companies, though, kind of end the road. They don't think about distribution. They are stuck in this engine of create, and they don't realize that you also have to market the content that you create. This is where AI can pay amazing dividends, where you actually distribute your content. You tell your stories, you amplify your stories, you repurpose your stories, you distribute them through backlinks, through social media channels, all of that stuff. And then finally, optimization. Now, here's a question. How many of you or your clients or your partners spend the vast majority of their time thinking about what they should create versus what they distribute. Usually it's like an 80-20 mix where 80% of the time and the energy is thinking about creation and 20% is spent around distribution. In reality, you should be able to create things that are so valuable that they can be distributed for a very long time. And now, when you have this mentality and you have this framework, my belief is that if you can sprinkle some AI on top of all of this, you will win in this new age. You will be able to thrive amidst the chaos. You will be able to take the pressure and turn it into diamonds, and you will be able to unlock some ridiculous returns. So let's jump into it. Now, how do you use AI for research? We're going to get real tactical here. I'm going to dive into like how to do specific things. So in ChatGPT, if you're not using it, it's a tool that you should use. You can upload a PDF, just like I have in this example, and you can say, ChatGPT, you're an investment executive at Berkshire Hathaway, write the thesis around this stock. And then based off of that, it's going to literally go into its brain, so to speak, and start to pretend that it is an executive at Berkshire Hathaway and respond to you in the way that somebody working at that company would actually communicate to you. And it gives it back to you in a matter of seconds, right? When you think about this from your own use cases, think about reports that you receive, think about reports that you download from software, from solutions, and ask yourself, okay, do I have time to read this entire memo? Or can I ask ChatGPT to analyze it on my behalf? And I want you to pick up on something that I did in this prompt that is super underrated. I didn't just say, ChatGPT, read this and tell me what it is. I gave it a persona. A persona, when you are writing a prompt to ChatGPT, is one of the most important factors of your communication. The other most important factor that isn't showing up here is you always want to say please and thank you to the AI, because if these things become sentient someday, they're not coming to kill me. They can come and get you, but they ain't getting me. So I'm saying please and thank you every single time, except in this screenshot I didn't, but usually I'm super nice and I lean into my Canadianness and I lay it on thick. That's what you want to do. Some of you might do it. If you say please or thank you to your ChatGPTs, to your AIs, please say that I'm not alone in the comments. I would love to know that I'm not alone in being nice to my AI. Either way, thank you. Good. You have to be nice to your AIs. When they come back, you don't want them to come get you 100%. So you can get it to review a PDF, analyze that PDF, and give you comments, give you thoughts on that. And when you give it a persona, which is what I strongly encourage people to do, you are able to ultimately get it to go into its brain, and it essentially starts to think and operate like that, right? It starts to operate like that individual. It starts to operate from that, with that data at the forefront of its mind. So for example, when I use Moz, which is an SEO tool that I use, you can download these reports, these analysis, and you can upload it directly into ChatGPT, and it will respond back to you with the insights from that report, right? It will respond back to you, breaking down some of the insights, some of the data around, okay, hey, check out this report that I got from Moz, how's Foundation doing? And it will tell us all of that information right there in the matter of seconds. I didn't have to hire an analyst. I didn't have to bug one of my junior employees. I didn't have to do any of that. I just uploaded ChatGPT and I get the answer. It's wild, folks. This is the world that we live in. In the future, or in the past, literally 3 years ago, you would have had to use your own eyeballs to read and understand the report and then interpret that with your own brain. And now you can get an AI to do it for you, right? Challenge your beliefs and embrace experimentation. Just yesterday, I took an audio clip and I uploaded it to AI, ChatGPT, and I asked it to like transcribe my text, and it did that too, right? If you've ever used a recording like a Gong or any of that software, you can ask these tools to give you tips and advice on how to communicate better on presentations, how you should have managed. This is a pro tip. It's very interesting. I don't know if it might break some confidentiality stuff, so maybe don't do what I'm about to say. But if you have a one-on-one with your people leader and your manager, and they give you permission to record that, upload it to AI and ask AI to give you feedback on how you should be communicating with your manager in the future because you want to get a raise, you can get coached by this. And I'm going completely astray, but tell ChatGPT to pretend that it is a business coach for Larry Page or someone who's an executive that you aspire to be like someday. And you will get the feedback from them the way that you would expect. And it's mind-blowingly powerful. All right, let's jump into AI for the creation side again. And again, if Carnegie does not allow for you to upload that audio clips and it's confidential, then I 100% support their decision. Creation, content creation. So when you are thinking about your marketing engine, you do want to create content that is ridiculously valuable. You need to create things that are absolutely educational, engaging, entertaining, and empowering. And that content can tend to do ridiculously well. But a lot of people say, Ross, I'm going to go on and use AI. Isn't Google going to hate me? You have to remember, Google has publicly outlined their guidelines around AI-driven content. And they ask you to answer these questions. Is automation and AI generation clearly obvious to your readers, to the people consuming this content? Are you providing background around it? Are you explaining why AI was useful? It tells you to ask yourself, is the content providing original info, reporting, research, analysis? Does it provide substantial or complete description of the topics that you're covering? Does the content present information in a way that makes you want to trust it? It's asking you these questions. And if the answer to these questions is yes, but you used AI, Google doesn't care, because what Google actually cares about is quality content. Even if you look at the most recent Google rating score for how they're rating what content is high quality, they are basing it off of 4 things: expertise, experience, authority, and trust. And guess what? With AI, you can still have those things. If Chef Ramsay writes an article about how to make a delicious lasagna and he uses AI to write it, I'm still going to trust it. He still has the experience. He's going to probably edit that piece where it says that you should use cottage cheese and say you should use some other bougie cheese, and that's going to make it something that I should have, right? That is the way that we should be thinking about this content, right? And another example of this in the wild is Bankrate. Bankrate is, again, a company like CNET. They're both owned by the same conglomerate that created a bunch of AI-driven assets, and they get 7.2 million visits to this content, right? 7.2. Again, they generate millions of dollars worth of organic traffic to AI-assisted content, content that AI wrote, that the internet thinks is a failure, but Sherlock Homeboy knows that it was actually really good and successful for them because we did the research. So again, embracing my whole Sherlock Homeboy concept a little bit further, dear Watson, I decided that I was going to reverse engineer what went into the success of these pieces. I wanted to figure out, okay, what goes into an AI-driven piece that generates millions of visits, bunch of traffic, and drives results for these organizations? What is it that allows them to win? And it turns out there's a few simple things that I was able to identify that actually allow these pieces to win, and it's these 6 things. 1, high editorial standards. You still have to embrace the idea of having an editor. I do not believe that you should throw up a bunch of copy that is written by ChatGPT and call it a day, because every ChatGPT response for a blog post all starts pretty much the same way. In the ever-evolving world of the digital transformation, in the ever-changing world of this, that, and the other thing, it all sounds the same, right? And what's really funny is recently, if you start doing a quick Google search, you'll start finding that that text, that line is showing up in a lot of people's messages. And it's a dead giveaway that somebody copied something from ChatGPT. So you want to have high editorial standards. You also want to incorporate multimedia. So YouTube videos, podcasts, embedding content, all of that is ridiculously valuable. I talked about double EAT, which is experience, expertise, authority, and trust across all of your pages. When you have an author associated as the author, that author name should be a clickable asset that goes to an author page. And on that author page, talk about their degrees, talk about their experience, talk about papers that they've published, talk about the things that they have done, because that gives expertise to their domain. It reads like a human post, so you need to understand the fundamentals of copywriting. You want to make sure that it has like attention, interest, desire, action in the flow of the copy. You want to have internal linking throughout these pieces. That is a key part that demonstrates like this isn't just cut and paste out of Google or out of ChatGPT. We've actually done the work. And then with these pieces across the board, they all had elements of disclosure. Now, I don't know what your thoughts are on elements of disclosure. If you believe that you should do them or not, Google doesn't care, but they embrace them, and that's what they're doing. So they use elements of disclosure on their content consistently. And with these 6 things, they've been able to generate a ton of traffic. But there's 4 things that, again, has nothing to do with AI, that is at the heart of every successful content asset. It's content that educates people, engages people, entertains people, or empowers people. I've never seen a piece of content on the internet that has generated results for a business that doesn't do one of these 4 things. I've never seen one person on social media outside of people who share pictures of their coffee share things online that generate a lot of engagement that matter to people besides educational, engaging, and entertaining and empowering content. These 4 types of content are the most important, the only types of assets that you should create, that you should promote, that you should amplify, or that you should create or share with anyone. If it doesn't educate people with how-tos, new data, new insights, new information, if it doesn't engage people by starting up a dialogue and starting to build connection, if it doesn't entertain them by putting a smile on their face or inspire them or make them feel good or make them feel nostalgic, any type of feeling that is a positive feeling, or even anger can be entertaining too, right? It's probably not worth creating. And then finally, empowering content that celebrates people, that makes them feel good, that makes them feel like they can go and do something, or celebrating people, whether it's your clients, your team, people who have unlocked new greatness, new success. That content always does numbers across the board. I want to break it down for you again. So this was a piece that we created at Foundation with AI, 100%. I think it's 4,000, 5,000 words. It was a guide to software as a service pricing in 2023. So we specialize in doing marketing for software companies like Canva, MailChimp, Eventbrite, those types of companies. That's our clients. Those are our jam. So I wrote this piece using AI on the ultimate guide to how to price your SaaS company. Now, I could have just copied and pasted from ChatGPT, but instead I have this checklist. This checklist, again, we're recorded so you can come back to it and steal it and swipe it and use it, is the checklist that we use to ensure that the content that we write, even if it is using AI, isn't able to be detected as written by AI. So we have a checklist that is essentially given to our editors where, okay, this piece was created with AI, let's apply this checklist. And by the end of that, the content is good. And to prove that the content is good, I got an email from the folks over at Indie Hackers. They got tens of thousands of followers, tens of thousands of visits every single day, like big in the software world. They wanted to republish my post. Even those images were created with AI. That's not a stock photo of popcorn. That's from Midjourney. That's not a real coffee. That doesn't exist. That chocolate bar doesn't exist. All of this was AI generated, and people went wild. Thousands of comments, hundreds of shares, $60,000 project came out of it. Like that came all from me taking a piece of content with AI and optimizing it, right? Now, a lot of people think, okay, what can I do with this? You can create a lot of content. That's what you can do with this. There's a study that we did where we looked at the top trafficked websites, and the ones that blog the most generate the most traffic. Simple as that. We looked at 40 different SaaS companies and we found the ones that blog the most and had over 500 posts on a yearly basis were the ones that exceeded the vast majority of their competition as it related to traffic. So how can you create 500 words? Let me show you. So you go into your favorite keyword tool, whether you use Ahrefs, you use Moz, you use SimilarWeb, SEMrush, whatever. You type in that you want a certain type of topic. Let's pretend that I run a sneaker company. I'm focused on sneakers. I go to the keyword tool, I type in sneakers. I export a spreadsheet that's filled with all the keywords around how to clean white sneakers, what is silver shoes, what are sneakers, how to lace sneakers. These are all the keywords and traffic and phrases that people are looking for related to sneakers. Cool. I take that. I'm going to say, hey, ChatGPT, identify 30 content topic ideas based off of this spreadsheet. In ChatGPT, there's a plugin called Link Reader. That's what you're going to use this and share a link from your Google Docs. You could also, because plugins are going to be removed from ChatGPT, I believe April 1st, you can use what is going to be called a GPT, and the GPT can be your link reader. But essentially, I say, identify some topic ideas. ChatGPT then says this again. Yes, it's perfect, my friend. Thank you. Always be nice. I then ask it for it to create me a spreadsheet. There's a plugin in ChatGPT called Make a Sheet that can create a spreadsheet for you. It's then going to give me a spreadsheet with all of those topics and ideas. I go to a tool called Copy.ai. Copy.ai allows for pre-developed chained prompting. What is chain prompting? If you ever go to ChatGPT and you ask it to do something and then you follow up with what it does with saying, that wasn't quite right, can you do that? It allows you to kind of preset and establish what prompts you want to run one after another. So I can upload as my input that spreadsheet. The spreadsheet goes in. The AI is now going to generate subtopics under my topics. Then it's going to go to the internet and it's going to find data sources that I can use to ensure that I have experience, expertise, authority, and trust. It's now going out to the internet and it's finding those things. It's going to come up with some story ideas that it can incorporate based off of that data that it will fill into it. It's going to build an outline and then write a blog post. So how does that all work? I go through the motions of telling it, I want the content to be about the topic that has been pulled out of that spreadsheet. I want you to identify newsworthy stories and pretend that you are a wait but why data journalist. If you've never heard about wait but why, that might be the most valuable thing that you get out of this presentation. You should subscribe. It is a very insightful blog, but you can go and create content like them. From there, tell it to create the outline. It creates the outline and it creates hundreds of blog posts for me within the matter of 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I took that spreadsheet, uploaded it here, built out that framework. It creates all of these pieces on how to stretch sneakers, how to stop shoes from squeaking, all that stuff. I can then export all of these blog posts, throw them into Google Docs. I kept receipts to just prove and show that I am not lying. 3 minutes of time so far, 10:30 to 10:33. I reformatted the article, put in some bold, uploaded the headers, etc. Then I took a few minutes to go and get some images. To elevate this using our checklist, it might take 2 to 3 hours, but I was able to go to Midjourney and get images for each of those sections by just copy and pasting the section and saying, hey, ChatGPT, write me a Midjourney prompt that I can use. Since Dolly is available now, you can now do this directly in Dolly and it can be even better. So I get that blog post created in a fraction of the time without talking to anyone on the photography team to get photos of shoes. I don't have to talk to any writers. I don't have to support any transactions between copywriters and briefs and editing, and none of that takes place. It's just a keyword spreadsheet, AI, and some creativity. And that was it. And then I created those pieces of content. That's the power of this technology. But can we create weave like a bigger web with all of this? Like some of you might be in the graphic design world. You might be thinking, okay, what else can we do? I hear you. Anyone remember this commercial? Anybody ready to puke? I hope it's not lunchtime for any of you, because you might be sick after this. But like Burger King went to the market with this Whopper ad where they wanted to show the world that their burgers get moldy. Like we're not like the other guys. You get our burger, it's not going to be there for 10 days and like look the exact same like so-and-so's burger, who we're not going to say. Our burgers get moldy. That was their message. So they go live with this ad, gets tons of impressions. It's on the front page of Reddit. Everybody's laughing. Everybody's like, yeah, Whoppers, natural food. If I eat a Whopper, it's going to get moldy. I'm digesting this. It's good, right? It took over. They spent to take a photo of a moldy burger, literally tens of thousands of dollars to get the perfect photo. This ain't that photo though. This I created in Midjourney. That's the original ad. You thought that was a real burger. That wasn't a real burger. That was a moldy burger that I created in Midjourney in 20 seconds. And this is what I mean by the entire creation process is going to change. The creation process is going to change because we can't see it. We can't see that the burger wasn't a burger because the AI is that good at recreating images and visuals that the human eye can't pick up. Sure, some of you say, I see 6 fingers, AI's got 6 fingers, I can tell. You're right. But remember, we're in the early days of this technology. We are still in the early days. There are literal Kickstarters that are being funded today that are built on the back of AI. There's this guy who started a movie. His name's Tom. And he was like, I've always dreamed of writing a film. So he created a movie called Draft Night that talks about this person's journey on draft night and how they got drafted. None of these people that you are looking at are humans. They don't exist. No one here exists. This was all done with AI and they raised $28,000. It's in Canadian, don't get me wrong. So it's like $20 US, but like they tried to raise some money. They tried to raise money to fund this thing. And in our world, in Canada, it's a lot of money. So they raised money for this film. And because of that, you can see clearly that this tech can change the way that we operate as humans. Everyone's like, oh, but it's not going to give people the ability to be creative. You can't be creative with it. They're making movies. Like you can't deny that an ad in Facebook is not as complex as a movie. So this is the world that we live in. There's comics that are actually being printed that are completely created with AI. And to Sarah's comment about we should have a Sherlock Homeboy comic, 100%. It's coming. I will work on it. I will make that happen. And I can because of AI. I can go to ChatGPT. And I can say, ChatGPT, I want you to create a comic where Sarah is Watson and I am Sherlock Homeboy. Please write that script for me. And it will create the script. And then I will say, here's my photo. Turn me into Sherlock Homeboy and you'll get the same image that I just had, right? And then I'll upload you and you'll get the same, right? With Watson. Don't know what it'll look like, but it'll be something. It'll be interesting. That is all feasible, folks, today. That is all feasible. So again, challenge your beliefs and embrace experimentation. Now, the next part of this is like, great, Ross, we're creating stuff. We're using AI, we're creating ads, we're creating content, we're writing blog posts, we're doing this, we're creating movies, we're creating all of these things. How do we distribute this content? There's a lot of ways that you can distribute it. So images now can be distributed as video. That dome light video that you, or picture that you saw with me earlier, you can upload it to this app called Runway ML. And you can kind of see slight animation where my head's moving, etc. Again, that's not me, but I got Midjourney to try to recreate me. And this is what they came up with. And using Runway, it was able to animate it. Runway is an AI tool that turns photos into videos. Sora, if you're not familiar with it, recently came out. It's out of ChatGPT, OpenAI. You can ask it to create a film of Watson and Sherlock Holmes, and it will do that for you. This is the world that we live in today. You can take a photo of anything, upload it, and it will try to turn that photo into a movie. Don't get me wrong. If you watch very closely, this guy's back is all jacked up and looks weird, but AI is still in the early days. Here's my favorite tech. It's called 11 Labs. The reason why I love 11 Labs, and this is not a sponsor statement or anything, the reason why I love 11 Labs is because I think it's going to fundamentally change the way all of us work, all of us live. We don't even know it yet. The technology takes audio, and with that audio, you can recreate your voice. So I have a podcast called Create Like the Greats. I strongly recommend that you check it out. And if you are going to check it out, please leave 5 stars. I would greatly appreciate it, and smash that subscribe button as well. Anyways, 11 Labs. It's an AI tool. I took all of my podcast recordings and I uploaded it to 11 Labs, and it recreated my voice. And by it recreating my voice, it doesn't get the abouts and stuff like that. It doesn't get all of the Canadian accent. It picks up some of it, but not everything. About, like, it doesn't do that, but it gets very close to a point where a few months ago, I was in Brazil and I was speaking at a conference. And at the end of my video, I showed a video of myself speaking, but I wasn't speaking. It was an AI of me. And it said to the audience, "Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Brazil, I love you. Thank you." Didn't say it in English either. It said it in Portuguese because I can't speak Portuguese, and the vast majority of the people were there spoke Portuguese. So I got it to translate my voice into a different language. And when I did that, the crowd went wild, right? Some people actually came up to me and said, "I didn't know you spoke Portuguese." I was like, I don't. It was kind of weird, but like, that is what is feasible today. They didn't even know. How do I do it? So you take your audio up to this site called 11 Labs. Upload a handful of different files. It listens to your voice. It picks up your voice and how it changes, all of that good stuff. It tries to replicate it, and it gets very close. You can also take this site called DID, which is focused on video AI, and you can recreate a video version of yourself. This is where you can create essentially a deepfake of yourself. So if you don't want to show up for that Zoom call with your boss, you can actually send your deepfake to show up, and they can like pretend that it's you, but it's not actually you. That's where we're going, right? And if you don't believe me, let me show you this weekend experiment. One weekend. It took me 1 weekend to do this. And what you're looking at here on the screen is a deepfake of me where my mouth is moving, my eyes are moving, and I actually say a bunch of things about the future. What is going to be next? I believe AI hosted webinars, podcast calls hosted by AI. How many of y'all know that this isn't AI? How do you know this isn't? If an AI would say this, because an AI would try to get you to think that they were human. You don't know if I'm not real. You really don't. You have no clue. And that is going to be a reality that we all have to face very, very soon. Another example of this in the wild. You can take social content for ChatGPT and you can say, "Hey, ChatGPT, here are some of our best posts that we've ever shared." I'm big on X. I think Twitter is still my jam. So I took a bunch of my top tweets and I said, "ChatGPT, I want you to take these 10 tweets that I've said over the course of my time being on Twitter, and I want you to write 75 quotes that are similar, and they're less than 280 characters. They write a bunch. Got ChatGPT, turned those into a spreadsheet. From that spreadsheet, I uploaded it to a site called Canva. Big fans of Canva. In Canva, you're able to set up variables within your graphics. I used the variable quote for one row and handle for the other. So it would import the quotes into this section and it would import our handle into the other. I hate this photo. It looks like stock photo. And I was like, that's not going to work for my brand. So let's go to Google Images and find something that's a little bit more Mad Men-esque. Found this one. I thought that was great, but I was like, I wish it had some melanin. So let's throw that into the mix. And I asked ChatGPT to do that. ChatGPT and Midjourney then create a bunch of graphics that have a little bit more melanin, have the same style, same tone, same look, but looks more like me, my sister, and all that good stuff. So I then upload that to Canva, and within the matter of 20 minutes, I had hundreds of graphics that I could now share on social with some quotes about marketing. Scheduled a few of them out. We had 18,000 impressions. I got 30 new followers. Bada boom, bada bang. That was it. All using AI. Some of you might be thinking, okay, Ross, but that's not quality. I want some quality content. Let me show you something. So I'm big into history. I love history. It's a major thing. You have to understand history to go into the future. Genghis Khan, wild story. But there's this YouTube channel called Khan's Den, where he breaks down all of the history around Genghis Khan. His 27,000 subscribers, in the entire video is a combination of ChatGPT created scripts where it tells ChatGPT to pretend that you are a scriptwriter and write a story about Genghis Khan, and a bunch of Midjourney graphics thrown on top of it. Challenge your beliefs, embrace experimentation. Final piece that I want to talk about is optimization. Yes, we write this piece using AI. It's great. It's awesome. People love it. They're enjoying it. But you have to go back to ChatGPT and ask it to double check your work. Don't go to your manager. They're busy. So you ask ChatGPT, can you look at this piece and tell me if there's any ways that I can improve it? ChatGPT using Link Reader will go and analyze that piece. Use another plugin called SEO. It has now a brain that is the same size as an SEO. It's going to tell you that you need to update these pieces around your keyword, SaaS pricing, title, and meta description to make sure it's optimized. You then ask ChatGPT with the plugin Whimsical to create a graphic that would break down how SaaS companies should actually price it. And in the matter of seconds, now you have that visual that would have taken you probably 3 hours to come up with, because that's a very complex thing to come up with. But it was able to do it in the matter of seconds. You get that and you can win. So some of you might still say, it isn't going to happen. This isn't going to replace me. I hear you, especially when you see data like this. Data where people say that AI content is worse than anything humans create. I agree. That's why I believe in elevating the content. You have to have humans to elevate the content. I'm not saying AI is going to replace any of you, but I am saying that you will be left behind if you don't use this technology, kind of like your own Iron Man suit. Treat AI like your superhero cape, like your Wonder Woman suit, whatever it is that's going to give you the ability to do things that you couldn't do as a human. And start to embrace the idea of imagine a new way of creating, whether you're using DID, 11 Labs, Jasper, ChatGPT, whatever. You can find ridiculous efficiencies and do things that were not possible before. I have a presentation where I broke it all down on how to manage workflows, how to change workflows, and how to incorporate this stuff in your day-to-day that I published with Moz. I encourage you to check it out. But let me leave you with this simple video.
We're entering an era when our competitors can make it look like anyone is doing anything at any point and any time. So for example, my competitors might have me say something like, SEO is dead, or Google is allowed to plagiarize, but no one else is. Or even AI is going to take all of our jobs, and this is the end of the road. You see, I would never say these things. Definitely not on a public stage. Folks, this is a dangerous time. We need to be more diligent in what we trust on the internet. So how we move forward in the age of artificial intelligence is going to be important. It's going to be key for our industry. Better yet, humanity. Thank you all. See you on the internet. We're entering an era.
So I leave you with a simple quote from Uncle Ben, which is that with great power comes great responsibility. It's going to be a wild, wild ride. And I hope that at least something that I shared today will stick with you as long as bubblegum would if you swallowed it. Thank you so much. I really hope you folks got some value out of it. If you have any additional questions, and we do have time, I don't know if we have time, I just flow and see how things end up. Happy to answer them, but if I don't have time, I will see you on the internet, and always happy to connect, whether it's me or my AI.
Thanks, Ross. We did have one question in the chat, and if you're able to stick around for a minute.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Jill asked, what do you say to people who actually enjoy the act of writing, being that writing and editing are different skill sets? There's a lot of overlap, but spending your day working, your working day editing content is very different from spending your day writing.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think if you, I think there are elements of the writer's job that will forever be there, but I think there's elements of the writer's job that are going to simply disappear. And to those folks, I say find a creative outlet for your enjoyment that you can exercise that joy of writing in your spare time, because in many ways, a lot of the elements, unless you're creating, if you're creating for SEO, if you're creating for search, 100% AI is coming for you. That's my hypothesis. If you're writing thought leadership content, if you're writing proprietary information and insight, if you're creating unique storytelling, if you are doing things that an AI can't do with your writing, then keep going. But if you are creating things that an AI can do, then you're going to want to find another joy in the writing process. Because back in the day, people got a lot of joy out of the pen and the feeling of paper under their hand. A lot of people got the joy out of coming up with the answers to math questions in their head instead of with Excel or a calculator. There was joy in all of those things, but we all had to evolve to a point where we accepted the fact that, yeah, there's better ways of doing this. In the same way that spell check has impacted our lives, I think AI is also going to impact our lives.
Thanks, Ross. Elena asks, at what point does volume outweigh value? If every company in every sector can mass produce content, how do you break through the massive amount of clutter?
Yeah, you break through by having people that understand the other people that they're creating for, and you ensure that you keep that at the forefront of what you do. So when you're trying to use these tools and everybody's just copy and pasting ChatGPT regurgitated content, you need to be so close to the customer or so close to your audience that you have confidence that the story that you tell is ridiculously valuable to them and connects with them in an educational, engaging, entertaining, or empowering way that AI still can't do. That's the saving grace. The only way that we as marketers are able to be better than AI today is if we can stay close to the things that make humans human. AI doesn't get that yet. AI isn't as good as humans at storytelling, as building rapport. They don't get tonality. Like you can see my video. It's like, we are all stormed to be replaced by the SEO community and Google, blah, blah, blah. Like AI can't do that yet. So humans' biggest benefit is going to be able to apply human thinking to the AI outputs.
All right, one last question from Stephen. Why would anyone consume this content instead of generating personalized versions of it themselves? Chatbots don't serve me any ads.
Yeah, that's a great question. And that the only reason is because humans take a very long time to adopt. And I think it's 52 billion searches on Google every single day. So to make that many people change their behaviors to embrace chat bots, it's just going to be a very long time. So to me, it's a matter of time, but it's going to be a slow grind. It's going to, like, people are going to have to die before that happens. So like, we're not going to be snap your fingers, everybody's using ChatGPT to get answers. It's not going to happen that quickly. It's going to take 25 years before I think any of that major shift happens. And I'm hoping to be retired by then.
All right. Thank you so much, Ross, for your time. Thanks for the questions, everyone. We have just a little bit of time before our next breakouts start. So
Awesome.
Thanks again.
Thank you all. Take care. Be safe.
Bye.